I always said, and everyone said, is not if you're going to be hacked, it's just by when. And I think today is more the cyber resilient. How prepared is your company to deal with the incident?
Hello, I'm Ed Reed, the editor of E-FWD, and I'm here today with Rafael Narezzi from Cyber Energia. Rafael, hello, thanks for having us. Tell me a bit about Cyber Energia. What do you guys do? Where are you from? What are you thinking about?
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. We are a company that helps asset owners to protect the renewables and the energy. I think, as you know, we are having a big demand in terms of energy supply. There is a big growth into the industry, not only for renewables, for the data center perspective. And we, as a cyber company, we are here to help them to protect the field and, even more important, protecting the energy, what fulfill us in terms of our daily needs. Yeah. So for us, from the Cyber Energia, it's a privilege to be working close to the asset owners, understanding all the pains they have and making sure they are feeling the regulations in perspective of the compliance that is coming in town.
And I suppose just thinking about how that kind of works, right? I mean, I feel like sort of cybersecurity, these are the sort of things that no one notices until they go wrong. Are things going wrong now more? How does the market look?
Well, as you can see, the news is every day is a new day with many incidents happening on the hourly basis. I think what we have the attention and focus on from the media is more the big names. However, there are many other names getting attacked on the daily or even on the hour rate. The problem is that we live a digital economy, which is good. That's what we are evolving from. But I think the cyber hasn't been able to follow up with the conditions of the business. Therefore, is exactly what you said. The CEO that today has a cyber attack is a very different CEO that never have a cyber attack. They sometimes underestimate the condition and sometimes can be investing quite a lot or not even nothing in the cyber, because sometimes they're not believing in something that's going to happen to me. Yeah. Still present in our kind of a digital economy. That's what I said. I think we live in a digital economy, so therefore you need to be able to protect more for from the resilience that you need in terms of your organization. I always said, and everyone said, is not if you're going to be hacked, it's just by when. And I think today is more the cyber resilient. How prepared is your company to deal with the incident? As fast as you are able to deal with the incident, it's better you become out of the incident. We see many situations in companies struggling to get out. As they struggle from the kind of getting out of the incident is what accumulate a lot of losses. So as soon they get up and running, better for the company.
And I suppose, obviously, all companies are going to be thinking about cybersecurity, but thinking about sort of energy companies in particular, are there sort of particular risks or challenges that these guys face? I mean, obviously, I suppose sort of physical plants. To what extent are those vulnerable to sort of cyber attacks?
Well, from the renewables perspective and the decentralized energy field, I can suggest few. For example, the battery field is one of the main critical aspects, as the wind and the others, but let me concentrate on the batteries for now. The batteries, do you remember the movie Ocean's 11, when the guy goes into the parking space and then he presses a device which kind of sends a lot of power into the grid, and then you have a kind of a domino effect of a switching off the grid. So the same scenario could be happening with the batteries without no control. So today we have people trading energy on the daily basis where they can have a click of button to dispatch batteries. If you multiply this aspect of you can have the same person but dispatching many batteries at the same time, you're going to have the same scenario. So the criticality is there. And today is a button of a click to dispatch. You don't need even to drive to the location. So from your computer, from your house, from wherever you are, you actually can coordinate and orchestrate that. The issue that we live in here is the geopolitical situation and tensions that we live as well actually is creating an environment which is we need to protect more. We have to have a better controls, visibility, and ensure that whatever is going to do the dispatch is the person that actually is authorized to do the dispatch. And the situation is, are we protected enough from that field? The other situation could be a supply chain attack. Not necessarily you have coordinating certain issue, but your third-party vendor has a significant impact that will impact your operations. So today is, as I said, the digital economy that we live is here. the criticality is even worse than before. And I think the companies need to be gaining more attention and investing more on the cyber. Cyber, energy, and plumber is the new kind of future jobs that actually people are looking for in the kind of next phase. AI is driving a lot of demand on energy. The energy is driving a lot of demand on the cyber. And I think for us, we are very keen to help the industry to get very protected on the energy field.
It feels like, I mean, particularly at the moment, we're seeing a lot of discussion around data centers. I mean, AI, all these sorts of things where it feels like there's kind of new opportunities, but also sort of new vulnerabilities. And it feels like in a way there's this kind of rush to kind of build out infrastructure and, obviously everything is kind of falling along behind. Does this rush create new risks in terms of sort of cybersecurity? What should people be aware of?
Well, I think from the data center perspective, we estimate like 10 times or even 15 times the growth in US. So they have to build 10 to 15 times present from the current situation they have on the data center. So the growth is there. However, even in US, the limitation fact is where do they connect into the grid? They don't have a grid, and the timeline is 5 to 7 years. So renewables or decentralized energy, as they call, will be able to sustain and create what we call a double points of criticality. The reason is you have the energy, which is already infrastructure, critical infrastructure, and then you have the data center. So you create a double dose of criticality. So therefore, you need to be able to actually create the decentralized grid where you can fulfill the data center's need. However, the protection need to be there. Otherwise, as today we see the renewables in many countries that we are present, there is no kind of a good representation of a risk or even a way to protect the assets today. So what we see today in many assets, we see most of the assets are vulnerable. They don't have no visibility whatsoever or even governance. So in a situation of attack, how do they come back to operation to operationalize the site that was operating? So in very summary situation, yes, data center is a need. AI is driving the needs. Every single country will have to double the aspect of the data centers, and the energy will be fulfilling the kind of the data centers market. However, if you don't protect that, the next situation is going to be a blackout. I don't see a epidemic anymore. I see a kind of a blackouts occurring in different situations if we don't protect our environment for tomorrow.
And I suppose I feel that's kind of the market. So what does this mean for Cyber Energia, right? It feels like obviously we're looking at this geopolitical situation where there's more tensions. We're looking at sort of AI. We're looking at new sources of energy. It feels like there are a lot of moving parts. But what does this mean for your company? Well,
it's a great opportunity for us. We are really on the eye of the hurricane, helping companies to start to have a visibility. The market on the decentralized energy is vast. There's a huge opportunity. OT market is already a market that is under mature. So I think we are getting still the maturity that is needed. But for us, the market is phenomenal. We've been working with big clients, big names. Our growth just representing 2 years and a half. We are in 15 countries. We have more than 150 sites onboarded. And every day we become more knowledge on the field. So we are the experts of providing security for the centralized energy systems. So we become the key name for many vendors to come to us and actually say, can you help me to protect my assets? So for us, it's a fantastic market, fantastic opportunity for us to be where we are.
Perfect. That sounds like some very interesting times ahead, particularly around resilience. And I think that's a really interesting note to end on. For today, thanks, Raf.